Malware is a non-technical look at the tech news of the week.
This is a podcast where we learn together about everything from crypto to AI to whatever comes next in tech. I'm Natasha Hoskins.
I'm Deana Burke.
And this is Boys Club.
Wait, is it just Boys Club?
It's just Boys Club.
The Boys Club podcast?
No. Just Boys Club.
Welcome to Malware.
Welcome to Malware.
We're having fun with this podcast. I'm really enjoying it.
Let's jump right on in.
As you know, I have mixed feelings about leading with this first story that we have here, which is about the politics and crypto and tech of it all. But it feels like it's too big to not talk about.
Too big to not talk about. Too much of a timeline takeover to not at least acknowledge in some capacity. But it doesn't feel great.
It doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great. I also know that a lot of people are like so fatigued from hearing about and talking about and watching the news about what's happening in politics right now and are just wanting to tune out.
Unplug from it totally. Yeah, it's really upsetting that you can't escape it. And I wrote a newsletter on it for those of you who are not subscribed to the Wednesday newsletter to online. This is me shilling it.
Chill, baby.
I do feel like it's a shared sentiment where people are really fatigued by the amount of political rhetoric that is all across the internet right now. But what's going on with crypto and politics?
Yeah,
this week?
we're gonna keep it concise. There's a few big bullet points that I want to brief everyone on here today. The overarching note here is that it feels as though Silicon Valley has flipped red.
Yeah,
publicly. And I think that you could argue Silicon Valley and most notably, like I would say the people in power in Silicon Valley controlling the tech industry, that they have always been red and that they just haven't been willing to be public about it. And now that sentiment has totally changed. So the few big things that have happened, Elon Musk has come out publicly endorsing Trump. There's been a big VC public endorsement of Trump. What they're saying is we want to help a pro-tech agenda and that they aren't in consideration or endorsing the social issues like the many and varied.
It's pro-innovation in America.
Yeah, the sort of American dynamism thesis that you see them talking about a lot. So that's what's happened over this past week is that everyone has kind of come out and has started talking about this publicly. The crypto of it all is really interesting. Jamie Dimon, who's the JP Morgan Chase CEO, who has in the past been very anti-Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There's this really funny video that I'll link to in the show notes where he calls Bitcoin a pet rock.
Tokens are like pet rocks.
He's so...
Yeah, I remember this. Yes.
Yeah, he's bearish. But he has... I saw something yesterday that's saying that he's changing his stance on it publicly and is cozying up to Trump and eyeing a treasury seat. So
the facts change, you change your mind, I guess. With Jamie Dimon, I saw a tweet, I think it was a quote tweet from Elon Musk around all basically the huge Silicon Valley investors that have now come out and supported Trump, or either publicly or in financially through a PAC or whatever. And my main question is, let's say Biden does fall out of the race and somebody else is actually running on the Democratic ticket, if these people will change their tune again. And I don't see that, which is a bummer because I'm like, can we just wait it out another 6 weeks and see if something changes? And then, because I don't feel like you can flip
back.
Yeah, you can't flip back. But now sentiment has changed so much around Biden and the Democrats and no good options in such a extreme way that I think they kind of were like, well, this is our moment to be public about probably what they've always done.
Yeah. One other thing this happened yesterday is Vitalik Buterin, our main man.
Oh my God. Number one main character.
King of our hearts, co-founder of Ethereum.
Come on the pod.
Please
come on the pod.
I know, Vitalik. Please.
We're begging you.
We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about shared sequencing.
We'll talk about Ethereum.
He posted a blog post yesterday, which I felt brought a lot of much needed nuance to the conversation. And basically it was like, you shouldn't be a single issue voter around crypto. You should be a values voter. And that if you care about crypto, you need to go one level deeper than crypto. And you should be looking for evidence that a politician is advocating and has in the past advocated for individual freedoms and free and open technology generally, and that crypto is one part of it, but that there's other things like privacy of communication and access to information and privacy friendly digital identity, that it's bigger than just crypto. And you need to be looking for a track record of people being in support of that, not just right now because Trump has some tailwinds and whatever, all the stuff around that, and he's choosing his crypto candidates and JD Vance and all of that. That's too superficial, and you need to be looking for people who are not fair weather friends on free and open technology more generally. And
how is he so wise?
He's
like,
so
just
wise.
a very wise man.
Very wise man, which I felt like was some much needed balance to the conversation. Because I think even arguably, if you're like, okay, I am pro innovation and acceleration because I see these potential benefits to humanity at large, and there's that argument that can be made that I thought we did a EAC podcast with Reggie James and Ruby Tillow a couple months ago, and the EAC argument is that actually we can be using technology to solve humanity's greatest problems. And so I think even if you have that perspective and you're like, okay, this is why I'm pro innovation, this is why I think that backing the tech positive candidates is important, I think you could argue that a lot of these candidates aren't, and they're just saying it, and they're not going to do any of the things that actually would be pro tech or pro crypto. And it's just like something they're saying right now to get people riled up.
Lip service.
So Vitalik coming through.
I thought you were going to talk about Vitalik's subtweet of Autism Capital, or not even subtweet. Tweet
direct
to autism.
Tweet.
Direct roast of Autism Capital that you sent to Miranda and I and said, is this a subtweet of Boys Club? Which I thought was so funny. And basically the tweet was like, why do you have the same Twitter strategy that you had 2 years ago? It like was funny and cool then, and now it's just like shitty. Either be really funny or really smart. And I was like, whoa, I feel called out in a major way.
Man, if Vitalik ever tweeted that would make me feel
done.
I'd be done. Yeah, I'd be done. I'll delete everything.
I'd off grid. I'd be like a sheep herder in the mountains somewhere. Just logged off.
Are you an AT&T customer?
I'm not. I am T-Mobile,
Nice.
which is budget, but it does the same thing.
It gets you where you need to go.
Exactly. I'm on a shared family plan with a bunch of friends.
Oh, cute. That's a hack.
And I'm the coordinator of it. So it's really funny because one of my friends works in sales, and for a while, I don't know why it was set up this way, but if you're like the primary holder on the account, then everybody whose number is on that account, when they call somebody, it will say their name. And so he was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing he was like doing cold calls, and they're like, we're like, Natasha Hoskins calling. And all of these cold calls came through as my number, which is funny. Anyway, I'm with T-Mobile.
Okay, well, this won't affect you. I'm an AT&T customer, so I'm affected. There was a big data breach by AT&T, which basically has affected all of their 109 million customers. The data breach exposed the call and text records, including phone numbers and the number of calls made, also potentially the cell tower locations. So you could triangulate. Yeah.
They're going to find so many mirror selfies of me to you saying, which shoes? Do you like this? Do you like that?
The boots or the mules?
Some hacker's going to be so disappointed. Like, wow, this is so boring.
So it's a huge hack. 109 million people is a lot. For people who work in crypto, this is terrifying because I, at least for me, I'm always thinking about it's not if, it's when I'm going to get SIM swapped. And
oh, knock on wood, you actually have some assets.
Yeah.
Unlike me, where I'm like, okay, go grab the 0.5 ETH. Like, have at it. But you have some actual like money in crypto.
I do. It is not secured by anything that would be affected.
Be a phone number.
By SIM swap. But I mean,
having said that, I
don't want to get SIM swapped. I'm terrified of it. And
totally.
So anyway, this is pretty chilling. One other nuance of the story is that there was 5.7 Bitcoin paid in ransom to erase the stolen data from the server where it had been stored to a hacker, and for them to also provide video proof. But the second line in that story was that they don't know if the data has been duplicated. And so it's like,
okay, then
so stupid.
So dumb. I saw a tweet from Camille about her getting an email from AT&T about it 5 days after the story had broken on Twitter. And she was like, this is so funny and stupid that like these companies move at such a snail speed that it took that long to inform customers of a data breach when Twitter was talking about it 5 days earlier.
Totally.
It's crazy.
This also relates to the previous story because this is the type of thing that Vitalik privacy maxis. I am getting it more and more. And I think that this is the type of thing, these corporations being able to have this data, store this data, use this data and personal information and make a ton of money off of it. And then just be like, whoops, sorry, like,
sorry.
Whoopsie.
Yeah.
Is exactly what he's speaking to in terms of like what we'd want to not have even be possible in the future.
Totally. Is there any recourse for customers? Like, are they going to provide any?
I'm sure there'll be some sort of class action, something.
Okay.
But unclear as of right now.
Man, crazy.
I know.
That's a lot of people.
A lot of people. Also, our next story here, a lot of people. Metals and tampons.
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
Not I, but a lot of people. I love my Morena.
Shout out to the IUD crew.
Shout out to the IUD crew. There's an incredible... I can't believe I'm going to talk about this, but whatever. I have a Morena. I haven't had my period for 7 years. I love it. And then all of my like woo-woo Brooklyn friends who are like having natural births are like, your cycle, it's so important. And I'm like, we have solved this. Science has solved it.
You're a menstruation EAC.
I'm a woman in STEM, and I'm like, this is perfect. But there's this incredible, I'm a huge 30 Rock fan, and there's this incredible 30 Rock episode where Jack Donaghy is dating this woman. Jack Donaghy is like the main character. He's like very successful man. He's dating this sort of younger woman who's in her early 30s who is very successful like news anchor. And they are both really busy, so they're like really scheduled about when they see each other. And he's like trying to schedule her to like go on this weekend trip. And she was like, oh, I can't that weekend. It's the one weekend out of the year that I get my period. And he was like, oh no. And she was like, I know, we're so close to solving it. And I was like, I love that clip. And I'm like, we've solved it. We did it.
Yeah.
From that episode to today. All that to say, relieved because of what's happening here.
Yeah.
So give us a scoop.
So earlier this month, a study from UC Berkeley found arsenic, lead, and other metals in 14 different types of tampons. All different kinds of brands.
Different across brands.
Cross brand.
Okay.
And the fear is that that area of our body is one of the most absorbent places that exists. And
not good.
Not good. So there is more research that needs to be done around it because one of the limitations of the study is that they broke down the materials using acid and heat. So it's not clear if that does replicate to a vaginal environment, but that is something they're going to be looking at next.
Okay.
A couple things from this. The first one is that this was the first paper to measure metals in tampons, which I find
Are you serious?
insane.
Wow. What?
Women's health.
Are you sure?
Shockingly underfunded. And also like of all the things to look at regulating, I feel like this is one that we should be looking very closely at.
Pretty closely at.
So that's the first thing. And then
man, that's upsetting.
The second thing, I was looking at the study and then chatting with Catherine Champagne, who's at Keckers on Twitter. She's an incredible follow for science, health stuff, science-based health and wellness and fitness stuff. But she was posting about the study and I was like, so what do we think? Where do we think the metals are coming from? And she was like, the speculation is that it's coming from contaminated soil. So the soil contaminates the plants and then the plants are turned into the tampons. And that's how it happens. So it's not like an additive
like cotton.
In the manufacturing process. It's like it's happening through the raw ingredients already containing the metals.
Wow.
So that's happening.
So basically there's going to be more studies on it. But there's going to be no solve in the meantime.
No solve in the meantime. And also, like, for all of us who have been using tampons for our whole menstruating lives, it's kind of like, okay, well, whoopsie.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
I guess it's time to go order a Diva cup or something. If
something like that. Yeah. I will say, as someone who used to take recreational drugs in my youth, I don't really feel like I have much of a leg to stand on in the story.
Totally.
Because I'm like, of all, I've ingested so many things. I have no idea. Who knows the origin of those pills?
Oh.
I mean, but you know what I mean? Like people who get
totally.
really uptight about stuff like this, I'm like, you have to look at where there's been other moments of contamination in your body.
Totally. It's like all the, who I love all these girlies, but all the 365 party girls who then like won't do seed oils. I'm like,
Right.
guys, there's a little.
Or the Bella Hadid with her tinctures and then she's smoking a cigarette.
Yes, smoking a cigarette. Totally.
Okay, next one, also kind of dark. But
back to back here.
this is actually not like a news story, but as you know, I went on vacation a couple of weeks ago. It was amazing. I went to Yellowstone. If anyone is considering a Yellowstone trip, let me know. I have all the details and would be happy to share it with you. Had a great time. I went on that vacation with my best friend from growing up, who is a public school teacher, and she lives in Seattle and teaches in Seattle. And we were just having a chat, and she started telling me about something called roast accounts. And I feel like I must bring it here to give all the listeners a new fear.
I'm curious what a roast account is. I have heard about Reddit roasts, subreddits. Have you heard about these?
Like influencer roasts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like full subreddits committed to hating on like Alex Cooper or whatever. Yeah.
It's similar, though. You would argue that those people have opted into living a public facing life.
Okay.
The roast accounts that are happening in her school, at least, are people as young as like 6th grade, 11 years old.
Oh, like teens?
Yeah. Young
creating
kids
roast accounts for each other.
who are creating basically these anonymously. And then the bio will be like, send your ops in, like send in people that you don't, photos of people that you don't like. And they post bad, unflattering photos of people and write really mean things on them.
God.
And it's hard enough when you're a 6th grader or 7th grader racked with anxiety and insecurity. And you're just like, everything is raw and new. And you're trying to
open nerve.
Totally navigate like a new social life and
dynamic,
puberty, and you're in school and you're like doing your best.
Like the worst time in your life ever.
And you're trying to learn and the whole time you're worried that people are going to be taking a bad photo of you and then posting it on these
so sad.
I know.
I hate that.
I know. And then there's another level, which is that there's bribes where it's like you give me some thing that I want and I won't post it. She was saying that happens.
Sinister.
But it's less common. Like what's more common are these anonymous roast accounts.
Okay. Oh my God. There's so many layers of this being fucked up. But also, like, if you're a kid who's doing the roast account, like, hurt people. Like, what happened to that kid to do that? Like, that's so sad.
I know. Man,
I hate that. I was a very, very uncute middle schooler. You know? You have seen.
I thought you were so cute. Receipts. I thought the photos of you're very cute.
Okay. Sure. Other kids did not.
I don't think you had a look that was very cool.
It was not a trad look. It was not a trad
It wasn't very preppy, as the kids would call it these days, but you were adorable.
Okay. So I just like think back to that time in my life and it was horrible.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a time where I felt worse, honestly. And there was no social media. You had all this imagined idea of what people thought about you and all the mean things that they could be saying. And like there was LiveJournal, which I remember that was sort of there, and MySpace. But what it is today is just, it's dark.
The teachers and like the administration are really powerless against it because they're anonymous accounts and they don't have the resources or wherewithal to like trace it back to
cyber security.
Yeah. Like she's like, it's hard enough to like teach them school, and then this is like so distracting and takes so much time, and the parents always want something done about it if it's their child who's being cyberbullied, of course. But if it's their child that is suspected to be doing the perpetrating, they're like, we want more evidence. We don't like, there's a whole parent dynamic that the teachers are also trying to navigate, which is really, really sounds really hard and
makes it like almost impossible for them to do their job.
Yeah, I think impossible feeling.
Yeah.
There's a movement to ban phones in schools, which I support. One of Oscar's classmates, 8-year-old, has a phone.
I know, you told me.
iPhone.
That's fucking insane.
I know. So anyway, roast accounts, not really anything you do about it. There's like the social media regulation where they're like, oh yeah, we should put a Surgeon General's warning on. I'm like, that's not going to do anything.
No.
Outlawing people who are under age of 13 to have social media accounts. I'm like, what are you talking about? How?
What are you talking about? You're Delulu, the Delulu land.
Yeah. So
brutal. Should we end on a stupid note?
I have the stupidest story. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear
it. Sam Altman's infinity pool is leaking. And it is.
Can you show me? Can you send me?
Yeah.
I'm dying. I gotta see.
And he is suing the developer for $27 million.
No.
Mm-hmm. Sam Altman's
What?
infinity pool. Yep, hold on.
So funny. I can't even handle that.
I just want to go on record and say I think infinity pools are overrated.
Wow.
I don't think that is the optimal pool shape.
You heard it here first. How much was his home that he could sue his contractor $27 million just for the pool leaking?
$27 million San Francisco luxury abode, plagued with issues. One issue is the leaky pool, but also faulty piping that dumped raw sewage onto the property. He's saying that he purchased a lemon.
Oh, man. Wow. In this Verge article, there is literally the PDF embedded into the PDF of the lawsuit embedded into the article. Oh, man. We got a bit of a YouTube video here.
We have a YouTube video. $40.5 million estate on Lombard Street overlooking.
Wow. Sam.
I know. Did you see the video of him driving his luxury car?
I didn't. I haven't seen a lot of Sam recently. What's he drive?
Oh, I think he's like a car guy. And so it's like some sports car, souped up sports car that you would never, it's like some
he's a car
hyper luxury thing.
Until this conversation, I had this assumption because all the pictures I had seen, he's wearing like some backpack. I was like, oh, he's driving like maybe a Camry or like a BMW hybrid.
Yeah, like one of those really wealthy people that always keeps driving their Toyota Camry, no matter what.
Exactly. Yeah. And doesn't have nice clothes or a nice watch or a nice home. Like I thought he was more Warren Buffett about it. Or who's the other guy that's like so never spends any money? I don't understand. I don't know those people. Wouldn't be me. But I guess it's not him either.
Yeah, I think this was a joyride situation, but it was a hyper luxury car and he drove it into some populated area and people started taking photos of him and it wasn't flattering. I gotta say, it was not flattering. It made him seem some sort of way
unlikable.
Yeah.
Also, he's just like not likable right now. So 2 for 2 right now. Okay, that's it is.
Now you're briefed.
From Sam Altman to lead tampons. Okay, bye.